From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion on Megillat Esther, question of balance. We have the name of Esther in the book of Esther is not Esther at all, but her name was Hadassah or Hadassah. Hadass or Hadassah is the myrtle tree. Why is Esther called the myrtle tree? The Gemara has various answers as to whether Esther was truly beautiful or not. Maybe she was green like a tree. Maybe it was a miracle that she was chosen. The Midrash Rabbi, says, Ma Hadassah reicha matok v'ta'ama mar. Just as the Hadassah, the myrtle, smells good. Many people use the Hadassim, especially Sfaradim, use the Hadassim as a form of bisamim, of beautiful, fragrant spice. V'ta'ama mar. But the taste is very bitter. If you try to eat a leaf of Hadass, it doesn't taste good. If you eat one of the little berries that grows on the Hadassim, it's not for eating, it's not edible at all. So too, Esther herself was like a Hadass or Hadassah. She was sweet when it came to Mordechai, but she was bitter when it came to Haman. Her dealings with Haman were harsh and very bitter. Her dealings with Mordechai were very sweet. Torah Tamima points out that this is an important lesson in terms of use of character traits. A person might say, look, I'm very sweet by disposition, so I'll be sweet to everyone. Even if I'm dealing with someone very wicked like Haman, so what? I'm going to be consistent, always sweet. Comes the Midrash and says, no. Our job is not just to follow our traits, our character traits. Our job is to go beyond our character traits. If we have an inclination to be sweet, there are times when we need to be more harsh and more difficult. We have an inclination to be harsh, there's a time for that. And there's a time to subdue and sublimate the way we feel like acting, the way we tend to act, and act in a different fashion. This ability of Esther to be kind to those she needs to be kind to be cruel to those she needs to be cruel to, is actually a tikkun. It's a fixing of a previous ancestor of hers who failed to know this lesson. We turn to the Midrash on Kohelet. Kohelet tells us, Ecclesiastes, Al tehit tzadik harbeh, don't be too righteous. And they say, this is the story of Shaul. King Saul was the ancestor of Esther and Mordechai. And King Saul, when he became king, people made fun of him. He didn't say anything. Perhaps he should have been harsh to show that he's the king. You can't make fun of the king. Then his son made a minor infraction, and he wanted to kill his son. And people said, don't kill your son, we'll redeem him. And they redeemed Yonatan. Then came a time when there was a question of whether one of the Kohanim was loyal to him, and he wiped out the entire city of Kohanim, the city of Nov, the Givonim. He was harsh and cruel. He should have been merciful. He was merciful to the king of Amalek. He had mercy on Amalek. He had mercy on their sheep. He had mercy on their king, when he should have been cruel and wiped out Amalek. So therefore the Midrash says, Reb Shimon ben Laki Shomer, one of the great rabbis in the Talmud, says, Kol mi shnaseh rachman b'makom achzari, sof shnaseh achzari b'makom rachman. If a person is merciful when he should have been harsh, in the end, he'll be punished. Measure for measure, he'll become harsh when he should have been merciful. Shaul was merciful on his detractors when he should have been harsh. And in the end, he was harsh on his own son when he should have been merciful. This is the mistake of Shaul. But Shaul was the son of Shim'i. Shaul ben Kish, and Mordechai and Esther are also descendants of the same Kish. This descendant of theirs, she understood. Mordechai and Esther understood when they needed to be harsh and when they needed to be kind. We all have an inclination to be good. After all, with children of Abraham, there's a natural human inclination to be good and to be kind. There's a time for kindness. There's a time for harshness. There's a time for love. There's a time, as we say in Kohelet, there's a time for war. A person who's in the context of a war is merciful, he has no mercy on his fellows. There's a famous story of the Lamed Hay, where the Jews in the nascent army of Israel in 1948, they bumped into this Arab and he begged for mercy and they felt so sorry for him, they let him go. And he went and he squealed on them, and all 35 of them were massacred. This is what it means to be kind, and you should be harsh. They could have kept him, and they could have survived. This is the lesson of Esther. Esther, the one of great kindness. She was a person of great kindness. She saved the Jewish people, but she also knew when to be harsh. Haman harazeh, and she knew when she said it with great conviction and great anger. And surely it was that saved the Jewish people. She knew when it was time to be harsh. Let us hope that we learn this lesson of Esther for in our own lives, to know when to be merciful when we're supposed to be merciful. Have mercy in our family, mercy in our community, have mercy with those we're close with. Be harsh at a time when we need to be harsh. Sometimes people take it the other way. Some people act most disrespectfully to their own family. They're very wonderful and very kind to everyone else out on the street. We need to make sure it's not necessarily the reverse, but at least to our own family, the ones we love most, we should be very kind, very soft, and very gentle. And when the time comes, when history calls on us to be harsh, to be strong, let us hope Hashem Oz Lamoitin, that God will give us strength. But ultimately, our goal is not to be harsh. Our goal is to have peace. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Beth El Emet congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee, for our discussion of Esther and finding the right balance between harshness and kindness. Thank you, Jason Lefkowitz, for making today's presentation possible. Join us each week for our discussions of the Parsha, holidays, and how-to Judaism each week. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.